Well, welcome. I'm your host, Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom and Cowboy Wisdom Hypno Acuity. And tonight's podcast is 7 ways why I rose out of my definition of insanity. And the definition of insanity is keep doing what you've always done, but expecting different results. And that's where the world is today. We're doing what we've always done, but we're expecting different results. I'm awake and aware of the dare to rise out of my definition of insanity, as the definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing, over and over, yet expecting different outcomes. As I ask myself, how is the world stuck inside the stifling fallacy of the bigger the lie, the more you hear it, the more you tell it, the more people will believe it. And I opened up to this here a while ago, and now I understand how we got into the world situation is how we're trying to get out of it. We're trying to use business and education, but business and education isn't what runs the world. People operate the world. And something I've really opened up to is blue collar people are actually the ones that make the world turn, as a white collar sits at the top. And so as I rise out of this and start understanding it, we use business and education, but we forget the bottom people. And we've had situations in this country where we destroyed towns by moving everything out of the country. Well, when you destroy people's lives, you destroy part of the country. And see, what we've done is we think business, as long as business is up here and everybody's educated up here, but where are we at in the world? And here's the thing I really understand is our elected officials will do whatever it takes for campaign contributions from corporate America or somebody that pays it. But they get elected and they have their best interest in hearts, but when they get around certain people, they forget it. So how are we living the definition of insanity, thinking our elected officials are going to lead us out of it when they're taking us down the path of desperation? And now but here's the thing. Elected officials will have, since the beginning in time, have never done much for the working class, the middle class, or the blue collar. The blue collar is going to have to rise up and lead the white collar back to some kind of integrity, because this is the most corrupt times in history I've ever been in my life. I'm 68 years old. And I keep being here, get an education, business. Well, that ain't going to do it. But here's the thing. Now they're bringing in AI and computers, and as AI comes in, how is that stealing the innovation of people? It may not be, but to me, I saw what spell check did. And AI, to me, you send it out there and it comes back. Who is programming them computers and who's programming you? That's just questions to ask. And another thing is we've been taught convenience, and anything outside of that convenience upsets you. It upsets me. And that's something I've really opened up to, is the convenience of life is what's stealing my life. I like it easy. I don't want to get dirty. Well, that's the thing. We let go of getting the wisdom from the dirt, from farming and whatever, to letting the purity of computers. But computers ain't all that clean, because when I worked out at Intel and stuff, they had they had a lot of chemicals. But anyway, and the biggest one I've witnessed today is people think somebody owes them something. Nobody owes you anything. And my last year as electrician, the apprentices we was getting, they were quite inept. But I come through a farming time. They couldn't even do anything with the mechanics. And see, that was a setup system when we got rid of the shop class and the home ec and stuff in school. They used to show people a way, but now they want to make it easy, and we're all into the games and stuff like this. And what I watch when I go out to dinner, sometimes I watch families. Um, there'll be four of them there, all on either a phone or an iPad, and there's where the communication stops in this world. Is we don't know how to communicate, and we're losing the fabric to a virtual world, and that is where the definition of insanity comes in. And they wonder where their kids have no innovative or no get up and go. But I've talked to some mothers when I go to places. Some of them won't even let their kids have any electronics, and they make them play outside. That's one thing I have to say. When I was growing up with my mom and dad on the farm, the thing you never come in and say, what's there to do? Because they had no problem showing you how to go fix fence, clean a hog barn, do many things. But the thing is, when you was outside and playing, the days went fast. And, that's one thing I really am at peace with, is growing up on a farm or in a farming community, because it wasn't in all the temptations of a city. And this is the question I have to ask: how are computers and AI stealing people's innovative ingenuity, taking the innovation out of people? Because I watched what spell check did to me. As I now realize and admit insanity, the insanity of the indoctrinated, educated third world enslaving business mindsets, but I also realize it in self help, personal growth, self improvement, and following other people's programs is a sham that binds my mind, because when you follow somebody else's program, you're really following their viewpoints, opinions, beliefs, limitations, barriers, and their viewpoints of the world. And how is most of that stuck inside the business and the education system? There's no free flowing innovation allowing you to move out of it. And to me, the world is stuck because, in the definition of insanity, because we're all looking for something, but we never understand people are the assets of the world. And it's going to take some communication skills to move forward. And, when you're stuck in the indoctrinated education that made up my thinking, knowing mind, that binds me in the boundaries of my opinions, viewpoints, beliefs, egotistical arrogance, stubborn silliness, hard-headed ignorance, that kept my followerocracy of socialized brainwashing controlling my life. How have we been brainwashed to follow a socialized way of life? And we get taught the media's saying it, and they're telling me this in school, it's got to be right. That is the bigger the lie. The more they tell it, the more we believe it. Because I've been around watching all this stuff in all the marketing and stuff, and I really come to realize there is zero leadership in any of it. All the leadership classes are tied to corporate America. There is no individual sovereign leadership in any of it. They tell you how to follow and be good. They don't show you how to be uh, your own, sovereign savant, and speak your adventurous visionary audacity now. It's really about, we've been caught in something that, and it's happened so silent. Well, it hasn't happened silently. We have been taught that business people know the way. And something about this I starting to understand. People that work with their hands for a living have been left out of the world, but it's our fault because we haven't been boisterous enough and we haven't stuck together. And we have zero people speaking for the blue collar. That's what I understand now. The blue collar is going to lead the world out of this white collar mess we're in, because you think you know from a book, you're hooked in the knowledge of somebody else. When you listen to the free flowing wisdom of the universe and the Mother Earth, you're in the native wisdom of yourself. And that's something I opened up to, is how wise the Native Americans were. They had a they had wisdom, and we brought in education. Education will never rise you as far as wisdom will. And the more I open up to this, I don't have this 100%, but Cochise, he had, when he's riding back and forth on the train from wherever he was, in his time period, he had $10,000 in the bank. Good thing he was a Native American, or else he'd have been he was a tycoon, but he did it in a subtle way. The Native American chiefs fascinate me more than anything in the world. The Native American wisdom is being begged for now more than any time in history, because we got to get out of this high speed, no grease, corrupt way we're living right now. Because the computers, AI, and third world enslaving mindset that we've been taught through a school system written by the tyrant felons of the world is where we got to rise up. And that's where the bigger the lie, the more you tell it, shows us the definition of insanity that we've been living since the 80s. I really opened up to question this and admit to it. This all happened when things were done that were looked good on the forefront, but actually was slavery on the backside. Business and education is only going to take us as far as their greed and they can take from us. And I've said this on other shows, but capitalism is just corporate socialism, because they think corporate America thinks the tax coffers of the United States are their private banks. And the middle class, well, I call middle class, or the blue collar, they've been omitted on both ends of this. Either it has legislation for the high and takes care of the bottom end. The middle class have been left out, and we've been fending for ourselves. But something that the higher ups of this world have better realize: the bankers of the world are going to get a little short on money, and that's the definition of insanity. And the thing about this is don't get all wrapped up and mad. It's how do you rise out of it? Because you got the inspirited entrepreneur within you to rise out of it. But it's really about stop living the definition of insanity and falling prey to this. And we've been taught, and something I've really been taught, I've witnessed, is all the business people in the world, the gurus. I listened to a lot of them. What I finally figured out, they was showing people and teaching people how to be, well, basically the country boy way of saying it. They're teaching them how to be followers and sheeple. Whatever that corporation said or the management said, they followed. And business coaches never show people about the way to their innovation. That's what Cowboy Wisdom Hypnoacuity and Cowboy Wisdom is about. Is showing you encompass the talent, the wisdom, and the insight, and the grit, get, and go to experience your own. And something else you want to open up to the propagandized pelver of the corporate owned media. I just read there's like 9 people own all the media in the world. So we follow the propagandized media into the mediocrity of being sheeple. The thing, people, you got to rise out of the sheepleocracy of following of what other people think, the followerocracy of following the herd, the titleocracy of thinking you got a title, you're somebody important, and then being in the herdocracy, just in a hover of a whole bunch of things, and stop stepping in their turdocracy of mediocrity. That is where the world has to really rise and shine. It's all in here. And here's the thing, we all encompass the wisdom, insight, and clarity. It may not be in the books, but it's in the innovation and your own sleek, unique talents that ballet you through and out of situation. You know, the corporate-owned media and the political leaders of the world, college education that is falsified by greed, need, and power. They want the power. They know if they take the people's money, they're going to have the power. Well, you have the power they can never take, and that's the wisdom, insight, and clarity of your situation. You know, I know this show has been kind of political, but if you ain't understanding the political landscape, you're going to get snowballed. As I now realize, self-help, personal growth, self-improvement keeps people inside their definition of sanity by trying to keep people healing the past, never ever getting to the now. As I now realize and admit, you spin corporate control through the media, the education, the political leaders are following. People become the sheeple of the situation. As I open up to understand, our education system was written by people that some of the tyrant felons of the world. I have a title for that, but I can't say it. You know, as you open up to understand, education is a foundation, yet there's zero free flowing listening, imagination, inspiration, innovation, intuition in education. However, it controls our thinking, knowing mind that is controlled by education, our parents' way, the media. As we were programmed to follow a certain way of life, but was never showed the way to rise out of it until right now. I rocketed me out of the socialized silliness to glide on my sovereign streets, a safaring trailblazer, enterprising endeavor and tenacity. Streams my emancipating essence to admit I liberated me from me, sets me free to feel my rapturous entertainer's elegance. Dance with my dreamer's artistry. Neons, emancipating murals of mystique, unique revelations. Animating, luxurious, sun of the fun splendor now and forevermore. I soar a sovereign, optimistic, autonomous revelation. If you take the word thought out of your life and use revelations, you never go into memory. And I got a class called Liberating Lingo. And what that does, it rises you out of your thinking memory mind and all the many movies of a situation, allows you to feel the freedom to rise out of that situation, to open up to your innovative ingenuity, to pave a path of prosperity and liberation. Because I liberate me from me is the simplest saying in the world. But how are we so caught up in thinking and when something occurs now and it's pretty much like something else, but you try to think and know your way through, and yet tomorrow is the same way because you think you know the same way every day. But you listen, listening, listening and inspiration rise you to the streaming intuition to rise you out of the situation. You are talented. Everybody is very, very talented, but we've never been told or showed how to use it because it's beyond the socialized way of life. That's why these people that control the world, they have been practicing this since the beginning of time. That's how the bigger the lie, the more you tell it, the more you believe it. That comes from the Hitler times in life. And but the definition of insanity I've witnessed in my own life. And if you really get very, very honest with yourself and look at the world with a vibrant veracity, you can see the world. To me, the United States has went downward since 1984, but it really started in 1970 when we got off the gold standard. I don't want to make it political, but you got to have enough understanding to understand how you've been manipulated by a system of control. We've been controlled and we didn't even know it. But when you rise and give yourself permission to question everything in the external world, you're going to find out that external world is in here. So when you question yourself. And that way, when you question yourself, you rise out of the definition of insanity and you throw the bigger the lie, the more you tell it in the garbage can and kick it over the moon. I want people to understand you are uniquely talented and you encompass the wisdom, foresight, and intuition and inspiration to color your world with your desired lifestyle. So that is why we rose out of the definition of insanity to immediately understand we innovate the now to enjoy our life our way. I want to thank you. I'm Robert Wilson, and may your life be as blessed as you are a blessing to me in the world.